Hey up everyone. Well, despite not doing the coverage I have before for several reasons, I will try and do a daily update, and if I find any footage I will put it up on the Kove group linked in the description. But until then, you will have to settle for commentary by Radio Dakar. Today's prologue was a short dash, just 22 kilometres, and the goal was simple. Fastest rider gets first choice on the starting positions tomorrow. I will run the leaderboards as a backdrop. 15 riders are in the Rally GP class and 100 in Rally 2, but sadly, Niels Terek, the top Kove rider, has had mechanical problems at the very start. He was still stuck on the course, patching his bike up when I started to write this, which might well have effectively been the end of the rally for Niels. In the end, he literally pushed the Kove home for the last 2 kilometres. That puts him almost 3 hours down, out of contention to all intents and purposes. That means he may well push harder to try and get Kove their first stage win as the only real possible trophy for 2026. The Kove camp looks very slimmed down this year, and there is no Super Sun team as the almost factory setup. So with just 9 entries total, most of which are privateers, it seems the new management have given up on Zhang Shui's 5-year plan, which is a shame, especially after they won on the racetracks. I will miss the antics of Xianling Fang as well as the excellent footage he sent back. Dakar Live said expect Mason Klein to go up fast with a point to prove. Well, Mason has had 3 operations this year and done very little racing. He's fit, but he has said that the aim this year is just to finish. Our old friends Cesare Zacchetti and Tiziano Interno are back this year, and they are both on Hondas though. So another loss for Kove because Cesare was a very big flag bearer. The prologue threw up few surprises other than the mechanical issues for Niels Terek, and there are no other big stories. At the front after the stage, Edgar Kenne became the youngest stage winner in recorded Dakar history today. He took the prologue 3 seconds ahead of his teammate and last year's winner Daniel Sanders. Ricky Brabeck was 5 seconds down in third on the first of the Hondas. Luciano Benavides was 4th on his factory KTM, and Ross Branch put the leading hero home in 5th, 16 seconds behind the leader. Michael Doherty was the top Rally 2 finisher in 6th place, 19 seconds behind Kenne, followed closely by a blanket of red, with Tosha Shirena in 7th, Adrian Van Beveren in 8th and Skylar Howes in 9th. Martin Micek put the first Hoto home in the top 10, and they were all within 45 seconds of each other. Tobias Ebster was 11th, in 2nd in Rally 2 on the second hero to finish, and Konrad Dabrowski, Preston Campbell and Rui Barbosa finished in 12th, 13th and 14th, pushing a few of the other big-name Rally GP entries down the board. Stefan Svitko was 15th, ahead of Bradley Cox on the first Sherco in 16th. Emmanuel Guillen was the first Malimoto finisher in 16th, and he was way ahead of the rest after a blistering start. A few more stages like this, and he will have a big cushion for the rest of the rally. Mason Klein came home 19th on the second Hoto, and he was just ahead of Nacho Cornejo on the hero in 20th place. Lorenzo Santolini was pushed down to 22nd on the second Sherco, and Milan Engel from Orion Racing was the top Kove rider in 27th place. Harath Noah was down in 37th place on his now full factory Sherco, and Kove had Javi Vega in his 40th and Sunier in 43rd overall. That puts them 26th and 29th in Rally 2. But remember, Javi Vega is a Malimoto rider, so in the Malimoto he sits in 5th place. James Hillier on the Kove UK bike was 52nd overall, 37th in Rally 2, and that puts him in 8th position in the Malimoto. It's sad that Niels Terek won't be able to push for the first Kove podium place, but it may well push him to aim for some stage wins now. It was a steady, solid start for Mason, and we know he likes to cut the fresh sand anyway, so it may have been tactical. He has only had the bike a few days, so he will still be getting to grips with it. Time will tell if he is fully healed from his operations, and if the Hoto bike can withstand the extreme ragging he will inevitably give it at some point. So today is an orange day. with 4 of the top 6 riders on KTMs. But there is Ricky Brabeck in the blanket of orange and 3 more Hondas in a pack chasing the KTMs, and that is always dangerous. Ross Branch would have liked Nacho Cornejo to be closer, but Tobias Abster is close and would be pushing to catch his teammate. Can Martin Micek be the real spoiler in the top 10 on the Hoto? This time I can confirm for certain that they are not using KTM engines. They're using the same Zongshen engine as the Kove factory team and have now managed to screw another 11 horsepower out of it working alongside Kove. Time will tell if that is the right decision. Thanks as always. I will try and get some decent footage of the bikes up on Rumble, but it will only be accessible via the Ko-fi group, which is linked in the description and on the channel homepage, and I'm making no promises. 2 of the channels I was working with were shut down last year, so I have little access now, and the riders are being charged a fortune to run cameras anywhere. The entry fee for this year was over €20,000, and they wanted another €15,000 just to film in the bivouac, so you can imagine the cost of stage footage. I will do what I can, but for now you will have to deal with Radio Dakar commentary. Bye for now, cheers for listening, and here's to a great rally.